What is going on, everybody? Car Guy V8 here with another video, and today I'm going to highlight a huge mistake that I made with these Vortec heads in this 383 stroker. And apparently I'm not the only one that has made this mistake, as there are several threads on the forums about this. Sorry, there's mosquitoes everywhere out here. But I'm not the only one that's made this mistake, and hopefully this video will keep you from making this mistake. So we're going to jump right into this. We're going to open this engine bay and look in there, and I'm going to show you what I did. This is my Vortec headed 383 stroker, and I actually did not build this engine. I bought an S15 that had been sitting for around 15 years with this fresh built 383 in it. So I pulled it out and did the typical things that you would with one of these, you know, pulled the intake, checked everything out, pre-lubed the engine, new distributor, you know, plugs, wires, new intake gaskets, all that stuff. And then I put it in a different truck of mine, and now it sits in this El Camino. And I'd been running around with this problem now for 3 years, and I honestly would not have caught it had I not just picked up this Vortec headed cutlass. So what is this problem I'm talking about? Let me show you. So your project is nearing completion, and it's time to put in the spark plugs. So you just go to the, you know, the O'Reilly's. You're like, yeah, I want spark plugs for small block Chevy, you know, R44 TS or R45 TS, what I usually run. You know, you just say, I want plugs 78 C10, 85 El Camino, you know, whatever it is. They're all the same, right? Wrong. Vortec heads actually use a different plug than the typical small block Chevy. They look really similar, and on first look, you might even think they're the same. But check out the thread length. These are long tapered seat plugs. The regular spark plugs for small block Chevys are just tapered seat plugs. So you can see the thread length. It is 5/16 of an inch longer than the traditional style spark plugs. So when you run a traditional small block Chevy spark plug like I was, you're actually combusting your air fuel mixture 5/16 of an inch up into the threaded portion of the spark plug hole. That is no good. That's leaving some compression on the table. Not a whole lot, but a little bit, and it's just also not ideal. You definitely want the correct spark plug. So we're actually going to go and we're going to change these out real quick. I cannot believe I went this long without knowing this, and it runs just fine with these plugs. In fact, it's smooth. I never noticed anything wrong, but sure enough, there is. So I've been reading on the forums, and apparently this is a fairly common mistake. If you've got a high mileage engine like this, you might have some significant carbon buildup in the threads to the point where it might be sketchy putting in the right plugs, because you know, the threads might get gummed up with carbon, or all that combustion being up there. It might be incredibly difficult to thread these new spark plugs all the way in. Might even require you to remove the head, but that's for you to determine, and it's best to start looking at some of the forums of people that have had similar issues. But with mine, I'm not concerned because it has incredibly low miles on it, around 3,000-ish. Now I'm going to put the correct spark plugs into this engine, and then we're going to take it for a drive and see if there's any improvement. And as always, I'm putting anti-seize on the threads of the spark plugs, so as they get old, they won't seize into these iron heads the next time I try to remove them. And I'm also going to put some silicone grease in the boot of the spark plug wire. And I will note that after hand tightening all of these spark plugs in, once I got to the point where the threads were not touched by the old, shorter spark plugs, there was noticeable resistance to where I could not hand thread them any further, and I had to use my socket. This is the first start with the new plugs, so I want to see if there's any idle difference or even cold start difference. It's always started so easily, this engine. That's the battery there. It's getting a little weak. Man, I can't tell if it's my imagination or if it's actually idling smoother. I think it feels better than usual. It feels smoother than it ever has, and I'm not joking when I say that. After driving the El Camino with its new spark plugs, I can tell you with certainty that there definitely was an improvement all across the board. Horsepower was just a little, it was not a lot of power, but where it really shined, and the mosquitoes are still terrible out here, I'm trying to get through this quickly, but where it really shined was the lower RPMs and light throttle. It feels very punchy now. And it was a smooth idling and smooth running engine before, but somehow it's just that much smoother with the new plugs, which, I mean, I guess it should be. I mean, they are the correct spark plugs for it, and before I was running the wrong ones. So I will say it's definitely worth doing this. The car feels really good and probably gained about 10 numbers, but down low it might have gained 20 because it feels entirely different. Thank y'all for watching this video, and I hope it helped you to keep from making the same mistake that I did.